Hi, this is Joy. The Messiah in the Feast of Tabernacle. One of Israel's most beloved holidays is the Feast of Tabernacles, known as Sukkot. And this feast was ordained by God to the Jewish people to keep and celebrate forever for several reasons. One reason is to remember that the Lord made their ancestors dwell in booths called Sukkot when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. This is Leviticus chapter 23, verse 43. Another reason is to rejoice for God's blessing of abundance in their work and their harvest, Deuteronomy 16:15. And yet another reason is because it represents a future event when the Messiah will return to Jerusalem to reign over all the earth. And that's found in Zechariah chapter 14, verse 5 and 9. Sukkot begins 5 days after Yom Kippur at sundown on October 6th and lasts 7 days until sundown on October 13th. This is the 15th day or evening of the 7th month of Tishri. No work is allowed on the 1st and the 8th days of the festival. 3 requirements are prescribed for this holiday: to build a temporary booth, shakah, to gather 4 species of foliage and wave them before the Lord, and to rejoice all 7 days. Booths are built at homes or on rooftops or in the courtyards. The roof is covered with leaves and straw to provide shade without blocking the view of the stars, and the people eat their meals inside the booths. The 4 species of the foliage includes the citrus fruit, usually a lemon, the myrtle branch, the willow branch, and the palm branch. All 3 is called the lulav. And the fruit is held in the left hand, while the lulav is held in the right hand, and they wave them before the Lord. This symbolizes God's presence. Leviticus 23, 39 and 40. Family and friends come together to rejoice and celebrate Sukkot. They share gifts and they share food baskets. Now, the prophetic message of the Feast of Tabernacles conveys the Messianic age will be a time when the Shekinah glory of God, which represents the presence of God, will again dwell with Israel. Now, if you look in John chapter 1, verse 14, that tells us that the first coming of the Messiah was when the Word was made flesh and tabernacled among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory of the one and only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. That was when Yeshua was born during the time of the Feast of Tabernacle. Do you see the timing was perfect? He came to dwell among them during the Feast of Tabernacle at his birth. Luke chapter 2, verse 7, Mary brought forth her son and laid him in a manger because there was no room in the inn. Why do you think the circumstances had the Messiah born in an outdoor stable apart from the inn? It was to replicate the Shekinah, and notice the dependence on divine protection. At the birth of Jesus, or Yeshua, that also was during the Feast of Tabernacle. He was born in a stable, much like that. All right. It also speaks, the Feast of Tabernacles, of the future raising up of the tabernacle of David that is fallen, the reestablishment of the kingly line of David when the Messiah will sit on David's throne and rule the earth. Amos 9:11. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God shall be with them and be their God. Revelation 21:3. The Lord will come, and all the saints with him, in verse 5. The Lord will be king over all the earth, verse 9. Everyone left of all the nations will go up to Jerusalem from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Verse 16. When Yeshua, the Messiah, comes again, he will collect the harvest for the Father's kingdom. Sukkot represents the final harvest when all nations share in the joy and the blessings of God's kingdom and celebrate this feast together. Shalom.